Okay, what if I told you that your dream house, that big, beautiful, forever home, might actually be a financial prison in disguise? I see this happen all the time as a financial advisor. We get so focused on the mortgage payment, we completely miss the real costs. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on something called the McMansion trap. It's a sneaky financial pitfall that quietly sucks your wealth away. Let's break it down.
This quote, this one hits hard, and it perfectly sums up the story we're diving into. It's about a client, we'll just call him Brian, who thought he was buying the American dream, but what he actually bought was a set of golden handcuffs. That house doesn't work for him. He works for the house.
And this number, this is the gut punch. 87%. Just let that sink in. That is the chunk of Brian's take-home pay that his house devours every single year. Before he buys groceries, before he puts gas in his car, before he saves a single penny for his future, 87% is already gone. So how on earth did he get here? To really get how someone can walk right into a trap like this, we've got to look at Brian's story. And like a lot of these stories, it all starts with a house that looks like the ultimate sign that he'd finally made it.
So here's how the trap gets set. You see these numbers, Brian sees these numbers, and most importantly, the bank sees these numbers and says, yup, you're approved. A $2,800 mortgage payment on a $62,000 take-home salary? I mean, it seems doable, right? A little tight maybe, but doable. And that is the illusion. Trusting what the bank says you can afford instead of what you know you can afford is mistake number one.
And this brings us right to the heart of the problem, what we're calling the McMansion trap. It's this killer assumption that your mortgage is the main cost of owning a home. But it's not. It's not even close. With these oversized houses, the mortgage is often less than half the real cost. And that blind spot, that's what just absolutely demolishes your ability to build any kind of real wealth. All right, so let's do the work the lender didn't. Let's put on our advisor hat and actually calculate the true cost of ownership for Brian's house. You're about to see how sheer size becomes this relentless, brutal cost multiplier. And here it is, the reality check. Brian budgeted for that $2,800 mortgage, but the house had other ideas. You have to factor in utilities for a massive 3,200 square foot space, which are huge. Then add property taxes, insurance, don't forget the HOA fees. And suddenly, his real monthly bill explodes to nearly $4,500. That is not a rounding error. That is a 60% budget blowout, month after month. Now, for a second, let's just imagine a different path. A more reasonable 1,600 square foot home, half the size, right nearby. The McMansion is burning through almost $54,000 a year of his money. The smaller home, a little over $30,000. That massive gap between the two, that's not just a number on a spreadsheet. That is the space where your financial freedom is either won or lost.
And let's just zoom in on one of those costs, utilities. It's a perfect example. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, homes over 3,000 square feet, like Brian's, spend a staggering 70% more on utilities. 70%. That is a recurring financial shock that just hammers your bank account every single month.
But wait, there's more. The costs just keep multiplying. A bigger house means a higher property tax bill. It means higher insurance premiums. And all that extra space, it creates these empty voids that you feel like you have to fill. Brian ended up rocking up $18,000 in credit card debt just on furniture. And maintenance? Oh yeah, it leaps from about 2.5% of the home's value to a painful 4% for a bigger place. It's a snowball effect. You see, this is way beyond just being house poor. An oversized house literally becomes a wealth prevention machine. It's an active force working against your financial future day in and day out. This number right here, this might be the most important number of all, $23,044. Think of it as the McMansion tax that Brian pays every single year for the privilege of all that extra space. It's the money that could have been his retirement, his investments, his freedom. But instead, it just vanishes into thin air. And here's what that McMansion tax really costs. This is the opportunity cost, and it is devastating. If Brian had just bought the smaller house and invested that $23,000 difference every year, well, the results are mind-blowing. In just 5 years, he would have had over $134,000. In 10 years, over $330,000. He didn't just buy a bigger house. He literally traded away $250,000 for empty rooms. And here's the direct results of that trade. At 34 years old, Brian has a little over $6,000 saved for retirement. For perspective, a financial advisor would say he should be well past the $100,000 mark by now. The house is physically preventing him from building a future. And listen, Brian is not some rare case, not at all. A recent study found that 61% of homeowners in his situation are in the exact same boat. They have almost no emergency savings. They are living on a financial knife's edge. One bad day, a layoff, a medical bill, and that dream house goes into foreclosure. So you have to ask yourself, why? Why do smart people fall for this? The math seems so obvious. Well, the answer isn't in a spreadsheet. It's in our heads. It's psychology. I mean, we're just wired to believe bigger is better. We see our friends and coworkers buying these huge houses, and we feel this pressure to keep up. A big house feels like a physical trophy, right? Proof that you're successful. But here's the ugly truth. Many of these McMansions are just cheaply built boxes, designed for maximum square footage, not quality. They're a liability pretending to be an asset. And that's the great paradox here. We chase more space because we think it'll make us happier, but study after study shows the opposite is true. Past a certain point, more square footage just brings more chores, more maintenance, more bills, and more stress. This quote just nails it. They don't make you happier, they just make you busier and broker. Okay, that was a lot of doom and gloom, I know, but we've diagnosed the problem. Now let's talk about the solution. This is the most important part. If you're stuck in this trap, or if you want to make sure you never fall into it, here is your playbook. Here it is, your 5-step escape plan. Step 1, you have to calculate the total cost of ownership, utilities, taxes, the whole shebang, and keep that number under 30% of your gross income. Step 2 is my favorite rule of thumb. Buy half the house the bank says you can afford. Invest the difference. Seriously. Step 3, if you're already trapped, you have to run the numbers on downsizing. And steps 4 and 5, these are about your mindset. You have to ignore what the neighbors are doing. Their opinions do not pay your bills. And finally, focus on the quality of the house and its operating costs, not just its raw size. And let's talk about that downsizing piece, because this is often the biggest mental block for people. Let me be perfectly clear. Downsizing from a house that is financially drowning you is not failure. It is a rescue mission. It is a brilliant strategic move to take back control of your life. It is choosing freedom over square footage. So I'm going to leave you with a question, and I want you to be really honest with yourself. Take a hard look at your bank statements, at your stress levels, at your retirement accounts. Is your house truly an asset that's helping you build wealth? Or is it just a beautiful, heavy anchor silently pulling you under?